Hi, Douglas Simonson here, coming to you from Mexico with a painting demonstration. Today, I'm going to be painting my newest model, Juan Pablo, posing nude in my garden. Juan Pablo is from Colombia, but he travels a lot. I recently caught him during a short stay in Mexico, and he posed for me in my garden, which has a huge banana plant, which makes a great backdrop for this kind of image. This is the photograph I'm going to be working from today, and this is the tweaked version. I tweak it in Photoshop to make it easier to paint from, and I'm going to be working from both of these images while I'm painting. And I'm also going to be printing out some close-ups for more detailed work, as you'll see. I'm going to be narrating and explaining just about everything during this time-lapse video, so if you watch the whole thing, you're going to get a lot of insight into how I create this type of painting. Okay, ready? Here we go. I start by transferring the big shapes from the image onto canvas with pencil, and then I cover the whole thing with an acrylic wash. Next, I'm going to start applying color, and I'm going to begin with the darkest darks, which is what I usually do. And in this case, they happen to all be in the background. I'm using a mix of burnt umber and hooker's green for this. Next, I put in some reddish browns and some medium darks. And now I've got the background pretty much in place. Next, I'm going to put some darks in on the body, the darkest darks and some medium darks. Now it's back to the background to add some middle tones. Notice that the darkest greens, which I already put in, are pretty cool, but these new medium tones are not just lighter, they're also warmer. That is, there's more yellow in them. The tweaked version of the photo is a great reference here because when you lose the detail like this, you just see patterns. And that's what I want to paint here, patterns, not individual leaves. Next, I'm doing the lighter greens in the background. It would have been better to put in some of the medium tones on the body at this point because I like to work all over the painting. But I was running into some practical issues with how fast my acrylic paints were drying, and I had all these greens mixed and wet, and I didn't want to lose them, so I just continued with the background. Okay, now I'm ready to start adding medium tones to the body. I've got a nice, rich orange tone here that I think looks really good. You probably noticed that I'm pushing the colors a bit compared to the photo. I generally think it's better to overdo the drama when you're painting because you can always pull it back if you need to. But if you tone it down from the beginning, you risk ending up with a boring painting. And now for some lighter tones on the body. And then some even lighter ones for the highlights. When I'm working from a tweaked photo like this, I initially just copy the patterns I'm seeing and I keep the edges kind of hard. Later, once I've got everything in place, then I'll go around and soften those edges here and there to make things look more naturalistic. In fact, I'm doing some of that already with the hands because they're smaller and need a bit more detail to look right. Now I'm doing some of the trickier parts of the background. In fact, I zoomed in on the photo in the computer in order to print out a close-up of both the regular photo and the tweaked version to help me with this part. By the way, I'm using a lot of grayed down colors in this part, and this is where my color mixing experience really makes a difference. If you're not sure how I'm mixing these colors, I suggest checking out my video called "Don't Use Black to Darken Your Colors." It's got some really good color mixing tips especially on how to mix grayed down versions of different colors. I'll put a link to it in the description. Now I'm working all over the background, doing some fine tuning before I go back to the body. I'm turning my attention to the head now. And again, I've printed out a close-up of that area to make things easier. If your references are good, it makes painting so much easier. I do this for a living, so I do everything I can to make my job easier and smoother. And having good reference images makes a huge difference. So do yourself a favor, don't try to work from crappy reference material like blurry or low resolution images or poor reproductions, and don't try to work from a phone screen. Get a good printer, it's worth it. Now I'm starting to soften the edges of the different areas to make the body look more realistic. I don't always do this, it depends on what I'm going for in each particular painting. This softening effect I'm getting is not easy in acrylics. You've got to have wet paint in both of the areas that you're blending together, and that means using plenty of paint and working fast. It takes a lot of practice to get good at this. Okay, the body is looking pretty good, so now I'm doing some fine tuning of the background. This involves softening some areas and adding some of the highest highlights. This is the kind of thing that makes the painting start to look finished. It's worth pointing out that I'm not adding much detail. Almost all the background is left pretty rough. Only in these final stages am I adding small details, because at this point everything's pretty much in place and I can see where some detail will help. And I'm careful to add it only in places where it'll really make a difference. You don't need a lot of detail because those little bits of detail, if they're in the right spots, will make the rest of the painting look detailed even if it's not. I've been saving that flower for the last because I think it's going to be just the touch the painting needs. And it is. A few more highlights on the body and some leaves in the background, and we're done. There's the finished painting. I call it In a Mexican Garden. You can see this on my website, although it's already been sold, so it's no longer available. And that's it for today. I hope this in-depth painting demonstration gave you some good solid tips to help you on your painting journey. Please subscribe if you haven't already. That gives me inspiration to do more videos. And if you got a little inspired watching me paint today, great! Put on your painting pants and go paint! Magic could happen.